Hey, good morning, guys. So I'm going to change out the element in my masterbuilt 30-inch smoker here. Why is because this is for the 40-inch smoker and it's supposed to be about 1200 watts, whereas the one that's in there is 800 watts. So I'm hoping that this will heat the smoker up a little quicker than the 800 watt, but we're going to see. I got this thing on Amazon for about 24, 25 bucks. And we're going to install it. You're probably wondering what that cable might be. I have another video about building this PID controller to control the temperature inside, and you can go search for that if you're interested, but that's what all these weird wires are for. So the first thing I'm going to do is take out these 6 screws, and that'll expose the back of the element, which will be just these 2 prongs back here where 2 wires plug in. And we're going to unscrew that, pull it out, and put the new one in. See how that works. Yeah, here's what the back exposed is. Here's my cable that goes in, and basically it's just 3 wires. One goes here, one goes here, and then this green one back here is grounded. These other stuff were the stock wires that are just kind of hanging there doing nothing. They go up to the controller, the factory controller that's no longer there. So I'm gonna unhook these 2 wires, and I'm gonna pull out this rubber thing and see if I can get access to these screws so I can unscrew the element. Okay, if this is your smoker, you probably have only these 3 wires. So they just pull off from here and here. And there was 2 screws I took off, and it pulled out this rubber thing here. And I was using a 7mm. If you don't have a 7mm, you could probably use a 9/32. And you probably want a deep because a shallow might not fit over that. Okay, so as far as back here, that's all that it's required. Here's the new element. So it looks like we're going to go to the other side and pull it out. I'm not sure what those 2 screw holes are indicating that a screw goes in this direction. So maybe it might be those. I'm not sure. Let's take it apart from the front and see. Okay, so this chip tray was in here. When I pulled out the tray, this thing, I also took all this stuff out. I pulled out that tray, and there was 1 screw holding this in with this little bracket on there. I took out that bracket. This thing pulled right out. And then there was another bracket that was holding this element down inside this kind of plate area. Be careful when you're taking these out, because I think I almost stripped that one, which is holding in the element. If you strip that, I don't know how you're going to get it out. And then I just kind of started yanking on it and watched it pop out of the back. And just kind of finagled it out. It looks like there's like a little rubber piece there that I'm going to probably reuse. Compared to the other one, looks like I'm going to try to reuse this bracket, I guess, because I need these 2 screws. Actually, do I? I don't think I do need these. These don't do anything except hold the ground on there. And it wasn't holding the element in, so I don't know. I'm gonna look at this real quick. Okay, so after looking at it, there's no way to take off this little 90-degree bracket. It's like brazed on there, I guess. So we're just not going to use it. And the new element did come with a new rubber piece that was on there. I was going to reuse that, but then I saw that. So we're going to install this back into the front. And it looks like this is just kind of laid into those holes. So that little clip that holds that thing I said not to strip, it holds it down into that kind of plating area. So make sure you do a good job and keep that on so that this doesn't flop around. I know you don't come back here and touch things or go in the front and touch this, but It's nice to have it secure, so make sure that bracket gets put back on. So I'm going to see if I can finagle this thing back into those two little holes from the front. And then I'll put the two brackets on. First bracket for this, the second bracket for the wood chip rack assembly. So let's see what happens. What do you know? Okay, so it just kind of pushed right through. The only hard part, I guess, is that these connectors are 90 degrees from the element. So when you stick it in to here, you gotta kind of put it at an angle, get those 90-degree things in, and kind of set it down. It might be helpful if you have a willing spouse or maybe a kid around to watch the other side and kind of guide you, but that was pretty not so painful. Okay, so it's down inside this box area, and then we're just going to put this guy on. That's going to hold it down, and then we're going to put the chip rack back on top of this and put the bracket to hold that in, and then it should be done for this side at least. And while I'm at it, I might as well change this piece of foil since I'm down here. Okay, let's try that. Okay, that went together good. So just make sure you get those two things inside its holes back there, this chip bracket. And this bracket goes on this side, holds down the element, one screw. And then there's a little lip right here. Make sure that the chip bracket goes underneath that lip, and that'll fit nice. So that's all back together. And that goes in. I don't ever use this because I have one of those things, so I don't care about that chip tray. Okay, now I'm going to change this real quick. We're going to plug it all in from behind and turn it on. See what happens. Okay, one thing I want to mention is when I was digging through here, I found some screws. I was like, where do those screws go? Turns out they do. You can screw them in here and here. Because I was wondering where I was going to put my ground, because the other one was on this, and these had nuts on there and screwed up, but you can't take these off. So I was going to go get a self-tapper and just ground it to the chassis, but then I noticed those two screws. So yeah, these screws do hold that element in to the smoker, so we're good. I installed my two wires to my controller. I'm going to put this play it all back. Then we're going to turn it on and see how much amps this thing's drawing. I have a cool little gauge up there that I installed, and we'll check it out. Okay, I got that back in, and some of you are probably, did he put the little rubber boot back in? So I did forget, but then I just took it back apart and stuck it back in there. And that rubber boot is, I guess, just a kind of a barrier between the wires, not touching the metal back there. Okay, so let's go see if this thing even turns on. I guess I should have tested it while it's still all taken apart. So here's my cool little controller. So we're going to turn it on. Before, this thing said, it was 110 volts at 6 amps. So now we're at, lights on, 9 amps. So before it was 6, so it's was a 3 amp, about a 3 amp difference, and it's consuming 108 volts. Before that said 110, and of course 60 hertz because we're in the United States. So I have this thing set for 275. Actually, I'm going to set this for 250. And then I'm going to see how long it takes it to get there. Let's see. It's been a while. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so set that. So it sets at 250. Right now it's 60 degrees in there. That's what the red light indicates. And we set it for 250. And I'm going to set my stopwatch. Okay, stopwatch is going. And I'll bring it back on and see how long it takes to get to 250. And this is the 30-inch masterbuilt. And I put the 40-inch masterbuilt element in there just now. with the cold smoke attachment. So I'll be back, see how long it takes. Okay, just reached 250 and it was 14 minutes. So that's about a 10-minute or so savings. And we're back up to, oh, it's off now because it's at 250. Okay, well, so $24 for that element to save about 10, 12-ish minutes. And the work we did, I'll take it. But if you're ever curious to know, it's about 10 minutes quicker. Okay, well, that's it. Thanks for watching.